All right, all right, all right. It is Monday, September 15th, 2025. It's about 9:10 in the morning, and the market's not open just yet. So I hope you all have had a wonderful weekend. Um, yeah, let's dive right in. Okay, so hold on a second. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm making noises. I'm smashing things. I gotta get my mouse. Okay. Give me a second. Oh. Sorry. Okay, so last we left off, we were over in this section on Friday. There's a couple of things that I want to go over, okay, because this is now the second weekend that we're coming through. And one thing that I talked about last Monday was how the weekend really works and what happens when the weekend comes and why I don't trade on the weekend. So what happens is usually the volume shuts off, okay, and I chalk it up to the idea that the parents left the house and the kids are at play and they're able to do anything they want all day long for 2 days, and right before the parents come home on Sunday, they clean up their mess, right? So this is kind of where we're at. The market, this is where we stopped off on Friday. And this was the weekend action. And you could see, if you look closely, you can see we were here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom in. Let's not be so tight here, right? Let's zoom in here. So we were here. This is Friday. And then, boom, we came back to where we are. This is all weekend action. Okay? So the idea is that I do not want to trade on the weekend because, I don't want to be like, kind of like stressed out on all of this stuff just to return back to where we came from. So, now let's talk about a couple things. I want to talk about a few things since it's Monday. Why I look at the chart that I look at and why I look at the time frame that I look at. First of all, I always look at the 12-hour chart. Always. That is my go-to, okay? And you can see it right up here. I'm on the 12-hour chart. The reason why is because there's actually two sessions that happen in this during one time frame. There's like one major session. That's what I feel like. And then you've got like, the night shift, okay? Because I'm on Eastern time, we've got New York session. And then at night, right, we've got the Asian session, right? So both of these like to play games with each other, meaning like it's kind of like a team thing. So if New York drops it, then Asia might lift it, okay? And the same thing goes with Asia lifting it and New York dropping it, right? So it ends up being this kind of like game that's played, right? But on the 12-hour chart, you can actually really see like where things are kind of moving. Like it just feels a lot better than looking at the day chart. Now, if I go look over at the day chart, right, there's a lot that happens in this candle. And it's really hard to tell exactly what is going on in the time frame because we have to open this up. So by the time that this candle starts and ends, like we don't know what's happening in the mix of this candle. But on the 12-hour time frame, I feel like you can see a lot more, right? So let's just pretend for a minute that we were looking at the 12-hour time frame and it was going down, right? And then all of a sudden the last hour, we shoot right up. It's hard to trade that if you're looking at the hour chart. So I find that the 12-hour chart gives you a good idea between sessions. So that's why I'm looking at it. Okay. Now, let's jump into the analysis of this. Let's see where we are. So we'll look at this together. So first of all, we didn't get over this 50% line, but we are coming back down towards this golden pocket right over here. Okay, which is good. Because if you notice, what happens is that when we are on the 50% line, we start to bounce all around on the side that if we're above it and below it, whatever, we bounce on the side that it's going on. So we are now still in this side. So let me let's take this. Let's just break this off. We're going to break this off right here. Okay. We're not going to include this because I feel like this is manipulation. So here's where we are. This is our range, okay? And we've got the golden pocket right here, and we got the change of character, okay? And then we've got this long area. So what happens in the middle is it becomes really hard to plan in the middle. So like, for example, if you were to take a long right over here, it can just whip here and then whip back down here and then whip over here, and like you could be stopped out in either which direction, or vice versa. If you take a long here, I mean a short here, it goes here and then it bounces right over here and then back right down to the middle. So the middle is the area that you don't really want to trade within. Rather, you want to look ahead. You want to say, okay, what side is it leaning towards, right? So is it leaning towards, you know, the bottom end of the range, or is it leaning towards the top end of the range? And right now we are leaning in the bottom part of the range. So what I feel is, again, I'm still in a long over here, and I've taken a lot of profit along the way, which is good. I do still feel like my long is valid because I do think that we're going to come up here again, or at least come knock these two out. They haven't been knocked out yet. Right? We knocked these out last week. These are liquidity pockets, whatever. And we knocked all of this stuff out. So what I'm looking for today is to possibly add on to my long. All right? But I don't want to lose the profit that I've already taken. So I'm going to be really careful because I'm in a long, I don't want to get too greedy. Because if it goes up from now, like for example, if it goes up here, okay, if it cracks up here, I'm good, right? The only reason why I want to add to my long is because I actually taken some profit along the way. And I don't want to I don't really want to leave money just sitting there. The whole purpose of trading is that you let the money do the work for you. So there are two areas that I'm looking at. I'm looking at this area in particular, right here, okay? The change of character. This was the break of the structure right here. This was the moment that we actually broke the and changed the character of the chart. So usually what happens is when there is a change of character, regardless of what, like let's say that we have a trend line and it was going like this and then it breaks up from the trend line. The chart will always come back down to test the trend line, always, or test the break of the area, okay? Just as much as it possibly can. And we didn't really get that. Remember last week I said we semi-touched this change of character area? I mean, I can actually slide, I could slide this line up just a little bit and it would be touching. But I don't really feel like this is a very significant retest. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for it to come over here and retest this area. And let's just say that it wicks out. So if this is a candle here, I'm going to look for this wick to come and tap down into this area. So that's what I'm looking for. So my idea is to add on to my long in this section right here. Now let me measure it because this is part of my plan. So you're actually seeing my plan work. This is about a 2% spread. That's about a 2% spread. Yeah, I think that's a good amount. So in doing so, if I were to take my long, if I were to add on to it, then what will happen is it'll shift my DCA up into this zone right over here somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to be really careful to place my long. So that's what I'm looking at. And the reason why is because I believe that this area here, this golden pocket, is a really good place for it to find strength. So if it does bounce down over here and it comes over and reaches above, yes, this is what we're looking for. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Now, if it does break this area down, we're going lower. So this, to me, is a really good area to kind of structure. If we go below here, then we're going a lot lower. So my plan is, again, just try to reiterate it. I am looking for a long in this section, somewhere along here, because I'm looking for a retest. And if it retests and it wicks down here, let's just say, and the body closes up here, if the body closes up here, we are good, okay? Meaning like we start to build some strength over here, and then we start to work our way up, right? Just like this, right onto a hook, right onto there. So that's what I'm looking at. And the reason why, again, is because we're starting to get this kind of like the weekend momentum was down and we're still continuing down, but we're going to take a look at some of the other charts to see exactly if that's a good enough plan. So today is more of a, I'm not going to take too much action. I'm going to see. Because the other part is if it doesn't come down here, then this is the area of support. And then we're looking to hook right up top here to get on this side of the range, on the upper side of the range, okay? What we'll do is we'll swap over to Ethereum. Let's go take a look at what's going on with Ethereum. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So yeah, look at this. It is finding a little bit of support on this 50% range here. Now again, this is the golden pocket right over here. This is the golden pocket on the lower part of the range. And I am still in a long. Now, I've taken aggressive profit along the way. So I'm good at this point as far as like my position. It can go up and, you know, this is ultimately where I believe that this chart is going. If you see, there's a difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin. So if you take a look over at Bitcoin, let's just flop over real quick back over to there. Bitcoin is below the 50% line, but Ethereum is above the line. So the only way we can figure out exactly if which chart is giving more of a direct signal as to, you know, what's going to happen, we'd have to go swap over to the dominance to see exactly which one is getting some strength and which one's not. So this is Bitcoin dominance. And we are still kind of like stuck in this mud area, right? We're stuck in this mud. We are stuck in this zone right here. And what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping for us to break lower here. If we break lower, then that means that Ethereum's going to have its run. But because it's Monday and because it looks like it's bouncing a little bit, you know, it could still have a little bit of strength to kind of move up. It doesn't have to go down right now. So it might be kind of like jumping around here. So right now, from the dominance perspective, if I jump over to Ethereum, yeah, it's looking like Bitcoin is kind of like steering the way, right? Okay, so if that's the case, let's go back over to Ethereum and take a look. So here's what I would be looking for from Ethereum. I will be looking right here, right at the top here. These candles right there. I will be looking for this to come a little bit lower. And if it wicks down over here or comes and hits this golden pocket, I'm going to look at this area for a long. But I am not going to jump on it, because I do feel that Ethereum has, even though Bitcoin's strength is rising, it's Monday morning, doesn't mean it's going to be rising the entire day. if we get some kind of bounce or some kind of another retest here, then I think we're going to go higher. I might just add on to my long in this section and kind of include this. So let's just measure this out real quick. Let me measure this from here to here. That's a 3%, almost a 3% range. What I like to stay is within 2%. So let me grab half of this here. Yeah, I think that's it. I think this is it right here. This will be my spot. This is my spot right there for a long, to add on to my long. Now, I will say that this is at my discretion at this point. If I do not want to take a long or add on to my long, I don't really need to, because I do have, I'm still in a long right over here. So we are, if we do catch more strength here, we are at the top of this range. We ain't going lower into this range. So that means I'm looking for it to hit here like it was and to take out this zone right over here. So that's my plan for both of them. Both of them is a stretch, right? From like right here to right here. This is my stretch. This is my long to add on to. Add. Right there. Get rid of this line. Right there. And then it's kind of like, I think it's like halfway in between. I think that's probably right. Halfway in between the 50% and the golden pocket below. Halfway in between. So that's a good mark. Let me take a look at Bitcoin again. Just take a look. Yeah, I don't really trust this. I don't really trust this. I mean, like, believe it or not, it looks like it's grabbing strength here. And we also got this kind of pattern that's going down like this. All right, last thing we'll take a look at. Let's go take a look at the S&P 500. Okay. Oh, yes. Let's talk about this. So we are at the top here of the S&P 500. We're touching the top of this line here. Now, yes. This reminds me. We are expecting news this week. This news is okay, hold on. This news that we're getting, news plays are very interesting. What I've noticed is that when there's a news play, there are two areas, two order blocks, right? I'm gonna call this, OB1, right? And this is OB2. And that's here, and that's here. It's also here and here. There are order blocks in here, okay? So what happens is the chart, wherever it is moving, ends up going to the middle of the range. Like it starts creating this triangle pattern like this, and it sticks to the middle of the range. And what happens is when news hits, it actually hits both order blocks. It comes down, it hits that one first, then it rips up, it hits the other one, and then it goes right back into the middle like this. And usually during news plays, there's a setup like this. And honestly, looking back at this chart, as I'm kind of looking at it, we are at that moment. The news, I believe, is maybe it's Wednesday, something. I don't know. I got to check. But if that's the case, we might just bounce around like this until we get here. And then we'll hit here and then up here and then back to the middle. And then we'll get the move, which way it's going to go. Yes, that feels a lot better. I've got this pattern that I noticed news does all the time. Right? And the pattern looks like this. Here's the mean. Whatever the news is, if it's good, spike up, drop down, back to the middle, and then at this point, this is when the real move happens. Real. What it ends up doing is it ends up taking out longs and shorts. Takes longs and shorts out. Right? Because it spikes. So it creates this like little pattern like this, almost like a heartbeat, which means like, yeah, we didn't really go anywhere. So depending on what the news is, right? Good, bad. That's what it looks like. So we could be forming that over here. So we need a little bit more information. Again, this is not going to really change my plan. My plan is here. This is my plan for Bitcoin. So that's what we'll do. We'll leave that there for now so that we can see exactly what's going to happen. In the meantime, this could kind of range for a little while. And again, like, you know, kind of to sum everything up, we are still on the bottom half of the range for Bitcoin. And what we're looking for is for it to come and flip right over here, right? And as far as Ethereum goes, we are on the other side of Ethereum. We are on the other, we're on the 50% line right now. So what we are looking for is we're looking for it to move up over here. That's what I'm looking for. That's my opinion. Please do your own research. All I'm doing is just, you know, giving you how I look at the charts, what my plan is, everything. You know, what you decide to do is up to you. I'm not responsible for that, but I am kind of giving you an idea on how to look at these charts. So anyway, that's it for now. I've got my 2 areas that I'm looking for. In the meantime, I will wait to see how this chart plays out for tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll probably get a real good direction as to, or a real good idea as to which direction it's going to go in. So anyway, all right, guys, have a great day. See you guys tomorrow.